Hello, everybody. I'm Will.
And I'm Kristen.
And this is So I'm Watching This Show, your new favorite pop culture talk show where we talk about movies, TV, music, and more. On today's mini-sode, we're going to try something a little bit new. We think we might implement this a little bit going forward if people like it and we think it works out and all that. But typically when we started this, we started as a podcast, and I felt the need to fill a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
And especially when we're talking about like a deep cut or a movie we love or whatever, I feel like an obligation to fill like 25, 30, 45 minutes. And apparently that's not always necessary or even ideal sometimes. So I think we're going to implement a practice of mini-sodes, mini reviews, and we're going to try that out with the new Netflix show, Life After Death with Tyler Henry.
Everything he said was spot on.
We are not forgetting you.
Do you want to know everything?
I just pulled it up, so I could have got you there if you.
I couldn't remember what it was called. So, starting off, where are we with
Ghosts?
mediums?
It's more difficult to suspend the disbelief when you're watching it on TV because you don't know how many hours of production go into it and how, it's edited together and stuff like that. I am mostly pro. There's spooky shit out there. Like, stuff exists.
So I am pro woo-woo.
Yeah.
However, I do think it is few and far between.
The real stuff,
Yes.
I think, yes.
And people get very, very passionate about it. Pro, con, and mostly pro and con. There's not a lot of passionate in the middle.
Yeah.
You will follow the agnostic code. We cannot know with certainty if God or Christ exists. They could. Then again, there could be a giant reptilian bird in charge of everything. Can we be certain there isn't? No, so it's pointless to talk about. Now say it with me.
I feel very medium about mediums.
And there's a big conversation that gets had a lot. And basically, I think as long as someone is not being hurt,
Yeah.
I don't see what the problem is. And that is the angle a lot of detractors use, is they say that these people are con artists who are grief vampires and they're preying upon people who are... I think that that's a factor sometimes.
Sure. I think the thing about Tyler Henry, from everything I've seen of him, because we used to watch his Hollywood Medium stuff.
We did.
So for me, I would only buy that was his shtick if he were like, your dead mom is furious, and in order to appease her, you have to give me $50,000. You know what I mean? And he's simply not doing that.
There really is not.
Yeah.
It's not a factor. Having watched, I think I've probably seen every episode. There was one weekend where we caught like a marathon that was running all weekend. So I think I've seen them all. And I also have read his book. So I have...
No one can lie in a book. No, I'm a little skeptical, but I also like it. I'm totally on your team. If it's not hurting anybody, I don't care.
And I have not seen or heard any evidence from him to that extent. As a matter of fact, so much so that I see the opposite. I see time and time and time again people leave sessions with him with a sense of relief, with a sense of clarity, with a sense of peace. He is, that we can tell, not implementing toxic procedures.
Yeah.
There's not any, and for $19.95, we can go an additional 5 minutes, yada, yada.
For just 5 easy payments of $19.99, I could make sure your mother's poltergeist never bothers you again. And it's just not like that. And you're totally right where it's like, so, okay, let's go all hard the other way. Let's say that he is 100% a shyster. There's nothing real about it. He is at least approaching it in a thoughtful and sensitive way where he is like, well, your mother only wants good things for you. That kind of stuff. He's only saying, like, everybody's fine. And, like, or they're just simply not there because they've already moved on. Like,
well, and furthermore, because you do get into, if this is something that you do as a profession, you get into a very gray zone with monetizing people's spirituality, people's grief, people's emotions, and all that. And most people who because I have encountered a person or two who I believe could have had abilities. they're all very cautious or very apprehensive about or very thoughtful with how they go around things. And one of the things he's talked about is he's like, and that's frankly why he does the TV shows, is because he feels strange about charging money for what he considers a gift.
Right.
And so the fact that it's a TV show allows him to be like he's being paid for his time.
He's getting paid
and
by
for
a third party.
entertainment value.
Like the people he's reading or like, you know, receiving messages or whatever, they're not paying him. He's being paid by Netflix.
Or even because I used to watch Lisa Williams, and I do not remember specifically, but it was like she would only ever charge X amount of dollars. And again, it was for her time. It wasn't like, well, if you pay more, you'll get a better quality reading.
Yeah,
like, it wasn't stuff like that. And so I think it's interesting. But that is where someone like Tyler Henry, I do find him more interesting, or I feel better about it because of the entertainment factor. I think that it makes it more honest, weirdly. I don't know. And also for me, because it's very easy for people who have no industry experience whatsoever to be like, oh, it's all editing. It's all production tricks. It's all like, you know, because the gimmick of him reading famous people are like, this is the easiest thing in the world to do because you can Google famous people and find out all sorts of things about them. And it's like, he's also said that like the famous people aspect wasn't the purpose of what he was doing.
Yeah.
The famous people aspect was the gimmick for to bring people into the show.
Also, and again, understanding that you can lie about whatever you want to lie about if you're good enough about it, but he said multiple times that he doesn't know who famous people are. He like recognized like 3 of them. And I like, he's very, if he's an actor, he's so good at it. But also all of the appointments for the famous people went through like a third level of like, he doesn't know whose house he's going to until he gets there.
And so that is the way it's presented. But what I was going to get to is a lot of people like to lean on the fact that there's production riggery. And it's like, yes, that is the case in any reality TV show, but also I think people are overestimating
just how much production
the competency of a reality TV show production. It's a dog and pony show.
Yeah.
I reach a point where it's like Occam's razor. At a certain point, it's easier for me to believe that someone might have an unexplained ability than it is that all of these people are in cahoots.
Yeah. That now two different production units on 2 different TV shows 5+ years apart are all keeping the secret.
Well, because you run into, okay, when did it start? He claims it started at 10. So if it's not real and this is a sham, did this 10-year-old come up with it or did his mother come up with it? Who taught who, when? And furthermore, when you start getting, because on this new Netflix show, and there's a handful of celebrities, like celebrity gimmicks here and there, but it's largely people from his waiting list. He has like a extensive waiting list, and they do kind of a lottery system.
Yeah.
So they're going around. And also on top of that, something that's kind of interesting, and frankly, this I think could even add to the charlatan of it all. Apparently, there's a mystery with this show that apparently his mother was like her who she thought her mother was not her mother.
Yeah.
And she was either stolen or given away.
Yeah.
And so there is this sort of, and for me, that's the production riggery. I think that the production is laying that out to be more dramatic, or they're certainly pairing up readings in a way that would benefit, or they're editing things to tell that story. Because back to what I was getting at, it's just sort of easier for me at a certain point to believe someone can do these things versus this conspiracy. Because also he has, like, his boyfriend is on the show.
Oh.
So he has a boyfriend of 4 years that he met online, like through...
Yeah.
So
he's roped some, like, who started out as a stranger into this as well.
I'm being sad. So I'm like, so either this person, either he's able to have a relationship with this person where he and presumably his mother can
are conning him
that,
as well.
Yeah, can keep that much of a secret from someone that they are, again, living with.
Yeah. Or
they have pulled this person in and this person hasn't defected in any way. I've said this several times, but there was a scientific, I don't know the proper terms, but there was a experiment done where an analyst was like, if the moon landing hypothetically was faked, there would have to be roughly 250,000 people keeping the secret.
Yeah.
And in today's day and age, that kind of secrecy just doesn't really exist anymore.
I feel like even in the 60s,
like it would have
250,000 people.
It would. It's the reason why I don't really believe in like the Illuminati, and certainly not in the way that it's frequently depicted. I mean, obviously there are secret organizations. Obviously there are secrets in this world.
Yeah.
But the shadowy cabals, I just don't think it's possible. And so for me, at the end of the day, and especially from a place of entertainment, it's just easier for me to believe this stuff is happening.
Yeah.
And there's a handful of things that it's like, I do buy into it. I mean, there was a reading he did in like episode 5 with a mother and a daughter, and he said a couple of phrases that she responded very strongly to the daughter. And when it was over, she pulled a piece of paper out of her back pocket and she was like, I didn't tell anybody about this. She was like, I didn't tell production about this. I didn't tell my mother about this. And she had written phrases on the paper. And it was like 3 out of the 4 of them he said.
Oh, wow.
Directly. And one of them he said indirectly. And so it's like, it's stuff like that. And the people, detractors like to say that, well, it's a combination of cold calling and hot calling, or cold reading and hot reading, where it's like you can read body language, or you can read like... Basically, I did a deep dive. Like, I went through Reddit, I went through Twitter, I went through YouTube trying to find the secret, the PAs, the like...
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you can find the elimination order of Drag Race. Like, I already know who goes home first on Drag Race, the all-winner season.
Oh.
They haven't even announced it, and I know who goes home first. Because I found it on a Reddit board.
Yeah.
And... so it's like I did a deep dive and I couldn't find anything from anybody other than vague and or broad, like scientific. Like there was a dude on Twitter who was like, this is scientifically impossible. And I was like, scientifically speaking, it's not possible to know what is scientifically impossible. I was like, that's not...
I was going to say, you can say things are theoretically impossible. Nothing is 100% scientifically impossible.
Well, and you can say we have no reason to believe, or this is highly unlikely, but I was like, in your invocation of science, you're actually breaking the scientific method.
Yeah, you can't say 100% about most science, because they're like, especially unknown science, because you don't know yet. We don't know yet. We hypothetically could teleport at some point. Hypothetically.
Well, it's something I like to say, but it's like basically, you know, according to our understandings of physics, black holes can't exist, but they do.
Yeah.
So that either means that we don't understand physics. We think we do, but we don't. And or there's an element to things that can warp or bend physics in ways that we are unfamiliar with. So regardless, all of that is to say that if you're even remotely inclined to this brand of hokum, to this brand of woo-woo mysticism and all that, I kind of highly recommend it. I think it's like edited really well.
He also just seems sweet.
Yeah, well, yeah. So that's okay. So that's another place where I actually 100% buy into it. I relate to him a lot, and especially his relationship with his mother.
Yeah.
They're really codependent, but they're also really antagonistic at times. And it feels
like look in the mirror.
It feels very authentic in ways where I'm, like I said, I've watched it with a critical eye and tried to see the cracks. And the handful of cracks that I have found or have been pointed out to me are circumstantial.
Yeah.
At best. And so when you take the only criticism I've seen that I think is even remotely valid is a person said that, you know, someone could be, you know, mentally ill or unstable or whatever, and could see this program and then seek it out in their real life, and that it could cause damage in their real life. And if that's the case, then yes, that is unfortunate. But that argument could be used against...
for anything. Also,
the
that's
ultimate ninja warrior, that
Yeah.
someone could see it on TV and then...
And that just is not Tyler Henry's fault or problem. It's like when, Rachel had a customer at the makeup store the other day. She literally, the lady called and she was like, I need a refund. I've got like this, that, and the other as proof that I like purchased this thing. And then she was like, okay, cool. Well, if you bring the box and the receipt, and the lady goes, oh, well, I don't have the box. And she was like, oh, so you just lost your lipstick. And she was like, once you're out the store, it's not my problem. And that's sort of like it's not my problem or Tyler Henry's problem that like you then sought out someone who doesn't actually have this, portended gift.
You also have to look at what he is offering.
Yeah.
Because he offers very few promises.
Exactly.
And so ultimately...
Because also I saw multiple of the celebrity ones where they were hoping to hear from one person and instead heard from someone else because the person they wanted to hear from wasn't like speaking or around, or they had already moved on. And I'm just like...
So this is a weird inaugural episode
That's
because...
longer than we intended.
Well...
Apparently have a lot of thoughts about media.
I knew we would, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to do this. I was like, I think in the future, if we continue doing this, it will be more just a few minutes about the show itself.
Yeah.
But then I was like, this is a topic of its own that we have like opinions and thoughts. And so I feel very, it's the same way that I feel about like Gwyneth Paltrow and Goop. It's like, yeah, oh, fine. It's hokum. There's no scientific basis for yada, yada, yada. However, she's not conning orphans and widows. It's like she's conning other rich white ladies with silly amounts of money.
Also, I kind of want to know what her vagina smells like. So,
and at the end of the day, it's just how is that different than any other designer candle or jade egg or what have you? Like, it's just
don't put jade eggs in your vagina. It's a porous stone. It's really bad for you.
Correct.
Just saying. PSA from me to you.
Which goes to show the give and take that these types can have, but. My issue is that I find what he does to be pretty innocuous.
Yeah.
I do buy into it, but ultimately where I feel the best about that is that, again, I have seen no evidence, no credible evidence of harm inflicted by him or in his name. And also, I do find it damn entertaining. Yeah. And at the end of the day, entertainment's worth what someone deems it's worth.
That's what I'm here for.
So it's kind of fun. I really enjoy, and I enjoy the illusion that we're getting closer, because he was a little bit of a enigmatic presence. We didn't like, we got a sense of him in that he seems sweet and kind of shy.
There's apparently another season of Hollywood Medium coming.
Really?
This year, yeah.
Okay. Oh, because like one of the people he reads in this show is a high school teacher of his.
Yeah.
And she tells a story about him knowing something about her dead mother when he was 16. So that begs the question, okay, when did this start?
Yeah.
Was he already conning at 16? Was he already, or 14 or what have you? And so...
Which, like, if so...
maybe he's earned it?
If so, impressive, if I'm being totally honest. So,
but I guess my point is that with his shows, there's a level of transparency that I feel comfortable buying into. And also, I mean, I'm not hanging my hat on it in unhealthy ways. And at the end of the day, there's an element of personal responsibility.
Yeah, for sure. As there is with, like you said, watching American Ninja Warrior or, I don't know.
Teen Mom.
True Blood, Drag Race, whatevs.
So this is my way of actually highly recommending it. I think it's like number 5 on Netflix. I kind of love it. I kind of want more. So I imagine we might watch it at some point.
Yeah, sure. I'm not against it.
So I guess let us know. We may or may not read or respond to the comments. We're testing boundaries with with feedback. So let us know what you think. We may or may not respond to it. Let us know what you think about mediums. Let us know what you think about Tyler Henry. Let us know what you think about different ways of covering different content. And if you like this, and if not, then click the next channel.
Yeah, You're not obligated.
So, like and subscribe, please. We're trying to bump up in the algorithm and do all that. Apparently, thumbs up are the most effective, most efficient way to get moved up in the algorithm. And if you would like to contribute, you can donate at Patreon or Cashapp or Venmo or all the rest. And hopefully we see you around soon.